What's up, guys? So I promised you this video when these got here, but they're finally here and I want to talk about them. So I got my 64 A12s and I am really excited to talk about them a little bit. Let me walk you through the process a little bit of what it looks like to get customs. If you have never had custom IEMs made or custom molds done, you will go to your doctor of choice, your hearing doctor of choice, and they will actually create impression molds for you. What they'll do is they will actually take a syringe with this foam type material and they will pump it into your ear, and it'll actually kind of create this mold of the shape of your ear back to the second curve, I guess, of your ear canal. Man, that process was not fun for me. So I am really sensitive to just pressure in my ears. I don't know what exactly happened. For some reason, when she started to pump the stuff into my ear on my right side, the pain was really intense for me. And I've talked to some other people since I've got mine done, and nobody else I know seems to have had this experience. Everybody describes it as pressure. Mine was piercing pain. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was just too much pressure or what, but my ears, especially on my right side, was really sore for the next 3 or 4 days. I was taking ibuprofen and just to kind of make the pain a little bit tolerable, but it was definitely pretty brutal. Now, not to scare you, because in my opinion, no pain, no gain. I'm very glad I did it. The process other than that was smooth, and I didn't have to get them done again, which is great. So when you first go onto 64's website, if you are buying your customs from 64, which personally I would recommend getting your customs from 64, just from my experience and from what I've gathered from other people too. There's obviously other great companies that do custom molds, and for some people 64s, even their lowest version, are going to be at a price point that some people are unwilling to pay. Now I will say, it's not always all about driver count. There's a lot of other things that I think play into your in-ear monitors and how much you are going to enjoy using them and how much they will kind of get out of the way and let you just perform. Yeah, I love 64 just from my experience. So when you go on their website and you order them, you're going to go through and you're going to pick out the color that you like, how you want the faceplate to look on the back of them. Very customized. You can really make these things look however you want, depending on how much money you want to spend. There are some finishes that cost quite a bit more money. Yeah, there's some finishes that I think were like $250 premium. Now, some people would say if you're spending $2,000 to $3,000 on a set of custom molds, that's not a huge deal. I think that price is still the same, even if you're getting the like $500 to $600 ones. So, something to keep in mind, customizing beyond, some of the basic colors, will cost you more money. It's to be expected. I don't hold that against them. I think that's pretty fair, but it is something to consider. You're going to go through and you're going to customize them to make them look however you want, and pick how many drivers you want, all that sort of stuff. Then you're going to submit your order. And then once you're done submitting your order, you're going to go and you're going to schedule an appointment with your ENT, get your impressions made. And then you're going to send your impressions off to 64. And then from that point, it's just a matter of being patient. They'll contact you and let you know that they got your impressions, and they'll clear. They personally, for me, they asked me about the case that comes with them. They asked me about my text. My understanding of it was that the text was going to be here and then on the back, based on the way it was phrased on the website. But now I understand it's top and bottom. They cleared that up for me. I'm glad they asked. Kind of would have looked a little goofy if I had my name on there twice. It is what it is. I'm not really using that case as I'm using the Pelican G40, which I will talk about in a minute. Build time, they do say on their website, I've noticed that it fluctuates between like 5 and 6 weeks. I'm not going to speak for them. For mine, they came way sooner than 5 weeks. I think that it was maybe 2.5 to 3 weeks after they received my molds. So I don't know if they're considering that the entire process, which I don't know how they would do that because it's dependent on you getting your impressions made. So as soon as you get your impressions made and send them, you scheduling that appointment and getting that done is kind of on your own time and dime, which is something else I want to talk about. When you're considering buying customs, you do need to consider the cost of getting your impressions made as well. Some places are less expensive than others. I went to an ENT, and there are local big ENT group around here. The impressions are $50 per side. They do that because of a lot of people, when they're getting their hearing aids, they only choose to do one side. It's $50 per side, which means $100. Kind of is what it is. Just factor that into the total cost of your monitors. A couple of things I want to talk about. I already talked about the positive experiences. Really, I'm having to nitpick for negative experiences. I wouldn't even necessarily consider these to be negative, just maybe things that I would like to see improved. The primary thing that I wanted to say was when you order your customs, the Apex modules, which is the little module that sits right at the bottom of your monitor. I would have liked to be able to choose which 2 sets of Apex modules they sent me. By default, it seems, at least how I got mine, they send you a set of M20s and M15s. Now, I'm not going to go into major detail about, which one is which and what they all do. It's essentially isolation, so how much they're attenuating stuff from outside. The less attenuation, the more open the drivers can breathe a little bit more, and they are going to sound more natural. So you're not going to have as much low-end buildup happening, which for me, and the way that I use my monitor, since I am not performing on stage all the time, I would have liked to be able to choose the MX modules, which are only a 10 dB attenuation, so that I could have had the M20s and the M10. I would use the M20s maybe when I'm running front of house and I'm using them for my Q mix. That way I can get some nice isolation, a little bit more isolation, and then swap out for the 10 dB ones to get even more breath. That's me being picky. It just seems like for as much as you're able to customize these things, the fact that you can't pick the 2 sets of Apex modules they send you maybe is a little bit of a missed opportunity, especially considering that the Apex modules are $85 a piece for a set. It's not something I'm likely to go back and buy another set for. So now if I were to buy the MX modules, I probably would never really use the M15s ever. The other thing I wanted to mention is the cable quality itself. It was, when I pulled these out of the case, I was definitely immediately my eyes pulled to these beautiful monitors, and they look gorgeous. I really liked the white with the gold. That's a color scheme I really like. I have a white telly that it's all white, and I've thought about replacing all of the hardware on it with gold hardware. White and gold is just it's a color scheme I really like, which is why I went ahead and did this. I was really drawn to these. And then I started to look a little bit closer, and I couldn't help but notice the cable. Now, some people would probably see this cable and be really impressed with it. The pearl, I think it's called pearl white, is the color scheme for this. And it's got this really kind of cool woven pattern to it, which is definitely really interesting. It has a little bit more give in it, if that makes sense. It's a very rubbery, and it doesn't feel like the kind of rubber that's really high quality. This is probably a personal preference. I think that there's some people out there that might prefer a cable that's a little bit less heavy duty, just so they can snake it through their shirt and make it disappear a little bit easier. It's not as heavy, it's not weighing them down. You kind of forget it's there, which I think is valid. I think most people that are going to be using these are musicians on stage, and you just want a cable that can kind of get out of the way and forget about it. Personally, for me, I really like heavy duty stuff. It is marketed as the professional cable, and I just personally, there's nothing professional about that connection. This little connector here, I just know that's gonna break. I could be totally wrong. This thing could last forever, and I could be really misreading the quality of this. It may really impress me, and you know, if that's the case, I will definitely mention that in the future. But come back to me 2 years from now, I don't know if this cable is going to be with me any longer. Now they do have the premium cable, which is $170, of course, a lot of money. And you know, I've never personally gotten my hands on it. It does look a little bit nicer, and it's got a better 3.5mm connector down here. That being said, from what I can tell, the premium option is only available their 2-pin connector for this. Maybe the premium version adding an IPX connection as well would be nice. Personally, for me, I'm probably going to look around and see if there's any third-party options, like chunky cables. I would really appreciate that. Let's take a look at these a little bit closer. So here on the right, we have the aluminum case that the headphones actually come in. I had my name put on the bottom here. So yeah, this aluminum case, really hefty. It's pretty large. I don't know why I didn't think it was going to be as big as this, just like seeing it on the website. But yeah, it's definitely pretty substantial. Would definitely do the job if you don't have a case to put your customs in. The one that comes with these is really solid. Now it's like a twist top. You can hear just how much heft this thing has. But it's pretty sweet. It's got this foam inlay on the top with a dehumidifier and a little cleaning brush tool thing. And then it's got these little insert things for the different Apex modules that you may have. I have my Apex modules in my other case, my Pelican. But that's what the top looks like. Set that here for now. And then the bottom, this is a sticker. It comes out. I'm just keeping it in here because I don't really have a place to put my sticker right now. But yeah, I'm just keeping this for random things. It's a really cool case. And like I said, if you don't want to invest in a different case, this would do just fine. You can pop this in your backpack. It'll work great. It is very heavy. Like I said, because I mean, it is an aluminum case and it's pretty substantial. But yeah, that's the case. So I'm going to set this over here for now. And we can get into the main event here. So this is the Pelican case that you can order from 64. It is a Pelican G40. So it's fairly large. It's hard to capture that 100% on camera, but I'm pretty sure it is 8 inches. It's got this nice little logo on the front, kind of, I don't know if you'd call that embossed or if it's a sticker. I'm not totally sure. But nice little 64 thing on the front. It is black. And just like the aluminum case, you can get 2 lines of text put on here. So I put my property of Mac Glendenning on the side there. So on their website, the case is $120. Is it worth $120? Now, you may have a different answer than me on this. Personally, there's a reason I bought it. For me, I just bought a $2,000 set of custom in-ear monitors. So yes, it is worth it for me. I wanted the extra storage that this thing had in it for a second cable. And it just fits in with my other Pelican stuff well. I like the fact that it latches shut. Not a huge fan of the fact that this screws off. A couple times I have put it in my backpack, and because it doesn't have like any sort of gasket in there to hold it on, I have had the lid actually come off on me a couple times. So that is something that I've noticed. That may be something that you can actually maybe retrofit onto there. I'm not sure. Maybe you could put a gasket on there and make it sit a little bit tighter. But I did notice that about the lid, and I kind of suspected that was going to be the case. No pun intended. But yeah, I like the fact that this latches, it's waterproof, and it had the custom foam inserts on inside this case. So yeah, it is $120 from the 64 Audio website. The Pelican G40, if you were to go on Pelican's website and buy one, is $46.95, so just under $50. Now, a $70 difference for a custom 64 Audio Pelican case with the foam inserts. Some people might not think that that is 100% worth it. Personally, obviously I bought it, so I did think that it was worth it for me. That being the case, I do think that it is a little bit overpriced. I think that this case should sit around the $100 mark at most. It would probably make the most sense for this case to sit at the $85 mark, just based on what I'm seeing. Now, obviously, there's a lot that goes into this, like the custom molding and all the stuff that goes on in here. And I'm not negating that. I think it's a very well-made custom insert. Like all of 64 stuff that I've seen so far, it's just really well put together. So obviously, I think this is going to last a long time, and it's going to serve me as long as I have my customs. And probably, if these ever died in 20 years, I would probably still have the Pelican. It has inside this case what it comes with. It comes with the same dehumidifier as the other case, and the cleaning tool as well. And then it's got a place to keep your extra Apex modules. I have a little iPhone dongle thing in here with mine, and then also one of the things that comes with your custom molds is this little shirt clip, which is kind of cool. I like that, so I'm keeping that right there. All right, so that's the case. Enough about the cases. Let's jump into the actual monitors. All right, so this is them. Let me untangle them a little bit. So I went with a white color scheme. So the back plate is white with the gold inlay here, and then the charcoal finish on the inside. So it is not, it's not completely clear. I liked the charcoal a lot. I was also between the black and the clear. It took me a little while to make my mind up on that, but here we are. I really like the white with the gold inlay here. So let's just look at the left one for now. So when you get this, I got the IPX connector on mine. You can also get the 2-pin connector. Here you get a really cool view of all the drivers in there. It is just a really cool piece of engineering to look at. The shell itself, one of the things I was most impressed with when I pulled these out of the case, now I don't have a ton of experience with customs. This is my first set of customs. But when I just even pulled this out, the finish on everything, it's so crazy to me. It feels like a piece of jewelry. It's hard to capture on camera. But like there is depth to all of this, like, and you see it, the shell itself like has some depth to it, and it's really interesting to look at. I did not do any special, like I didn't do any of the upgraded shell things that you can do. There's tons of like mother of pearl stuff that you can get. Really cool. There was like a volcanic looking thing that I was gonna do, but I just went with a classic white. So you have that inlay. You can select between gold or silver or nothing. I've seen some really cool, some where people will get that has absolutely nothing and it still looks really nice. On the inside here, it will show you your the model that you got and your order number, and then your initials right here. And then this one's blue because it is the left side, and then the other side is red for being the right side. Yeah, so immediately out of the box, I was really impressed with the they're beautifully made. Like it is hard to fully capture that on camera. You can switch over to the right side now and you can see that A12 logo, super cool looking. They're a bit of a fingerprint magnet, as you can tell. I've got a lot of fingerprints on there. Obviously you wouldn't really see that more than about 3 feet away, but on this little macro camera thing we got going on, that's just how it is. I did clean these. I know it doesn't look like I did, but my fingerprints have been all over these too. Yeah, so that's the in-ears themselves. All right, so I don't want to spend too much time on this part because truthfully, it's difficult to review headphones in this context when it comes to the quality of the sound. I will say this, I am not embarrassed to admit that this is probably the highest quality reproduction of audio I have personally ever heard. I have heard great headphones before. I've heard great speakers before. I've heard lots of great equipment. The moment I put these in my ears and plug these things into my laptop, and even just on Spotify, you know, and played some music back. Obviously, you know, high quality settings, as high as they'll go on Spotify. The things that really stuck out to me, I've heard multi-driver headphones before. These ones for sure are kind of in a different league from anything I've tried in the past. Obviously, these have 12 drivers, which is a lot of drivers. They're able to recreate things extremely accurately without having to really think about drivers getting overloaded with, you know, different instruments when different parts of the song come on, and things start to sound different because you're asking one speaker to create a lot of different sounds. This is not something that you deal with these. I was surprised. I'm used to I use Bear Dynamic 700 Pro X's as my main like cans. Personally, I really like the top end in Bear Dynamic stuff. I feel like it has always helped me to really get a clean top end, which I think is something that a lot of things struggle to recreate well. But they also really don't recreate low mids very well. And I do find myself, even though I know those headphones so well, I do feel like sometimes I'm just guessing. Even just like playing around with these things with mixes that I've heard many, many times, and playing the mix back, hearing things that I hadn't heard before. But even at low volume, the excitement doesn't really change. Like the excitement of the mix, they're not impacted by volume very much. Every single instrument, every single thing in your mix, it's really easy to pick it out. It's really easy to like tune everything else out and hear what's going on in your mix in that range. The low mids are phenomenal. Initially, when I first put them on, it feels they're very warm compared to what I'm used to, which is, you know, my Bear Dynamics, which didn't surprise me much because I know that those are, they don't have a ton of low end. And my initial thought was like, wow, these are very warm. And the more I wore them, after like an hour or two, I was like, you know, I'm really like not feeling like there's anything missing. Like once my ears were kind of acquainted with the way they were going to sound, I felt like the top was crystal clear. I felt like I mean, there's sub lows that were like, I don't know how it's creating that, There's sub stuff in there too that, you know, I've never had in an in-ear monitor, and I was kind of afraid of what sub frequencies would sound like in a monitor like that. They're not overwhelming. They're there. You can feel them. And it's really easy to kind of forget that you're wearing headphones, which I know that sound like every person that ever reviews headphones that talks about high quality headphones talks about that. But I definitely feel like this is the first time I've ever worn a set of headphones, and just like the quality of the sound is just exciting. Like it feels like you are listening to things very, very directly. They're very transparent. They don't, I don't feel like they're coloring things a lot. And I feel like they're recalibrating my ears in a lot of ways. I use AirPod Pros for like podcasts and stuff a lot. I don't usually listen to music with them because I don't like to, it takes me a while to readjust my ears for mixing and stuff. And I don't like to expose my ears to bad quality. And, so I mainly use them for like podcasts. And I had been sitting down at my computer listening to music on my A12, super stoked. And I needed to go do the dishes. So usually when I do the dishes, I put my AirPods in and I'll play a podcast or something. And I put my AirPods in, and I'm not kidding, I literally felt like they were broken. I was like, what is going on? Like, these things sound terrible. I didn't even think about it because it was just, you know, I had to go wash the dishes. So I put my AirPods in. I was like, what is going on? And I realized, wow, I never noticed how poorly these recreate sound and how distorted they are. And you might be hearing that and you might be like, that just sounds ridiculous. Like, I know my AirPods, like they don't sound like that. They sound perfectly fine. And I agree personally. Because I just use my AirPods for podcasts. It's not something that I really care about a ton, but I hadn't noticed it. And that's my point. Now that I have trained my ears, I've spent the past few days training my ears to these A12s. I can't believe that I heard my AirPods before and thought, okay, that's fine. Like they're manageable. They're not terrible. They're great consumer headphones. And obviously I'd still recommend them to most people just from the practicality of them. But man, wow. And I'm talking about AirPod Pros. They're not the cheap ones. So if that gives you any idea about the quality that maybe you might be missing out on, I have not had the opportunity to use these for like mixing really at all yet. I just got them this past weekend. So I'll probably make a follow-up video at some point, maybe going into more detail about my practical experiences with them doing what I bought them for. But initially out of the gate, it's shocking. I've had people explain it to me, talking about the quality difference between streaming services. And I used to just be like, who cares? Like, who cares? I just turned Spotify up to like the highest quality it'll go. And pretty much on anything I was listening on, just like, whatever. And the thing that sucks now is I can actually hear the difference between, Spotify and even, Apple Music. Like some albums, like Apple Music is a little bit higher quality. They're able to post a higher quality file. Now I'm like annoyed because I have Spotify and I've got to be okay with listening to Spotify now. That's probably a little bit dramatic, but and obviously I'm going to keep using Spotify. I have had I do know of people that have tried customs or really nice in-ear monitors like this, and people that aren't engineers, out of the gate, they may not sound super amazing. Like, whoa, this is crazy. This sounds amazing. A lot of that I think is because they do recreate a mid-range really well. And a lot of consumer headphones are, they have that mid scoop going on. And man, it's, I do understand why people might not like initially like these. I think that once you're calibrated to them, once they've been in your ears for a couple hours and you're just listening, going to anything else will feel like you're listening to a toy. I'm really excited to see how this translates for me and how well I'm able to hear things in mixes. The main reason I bought them is because I do not have the resources for a massive production studio right now. You know, I still mix a lot on an old set of Rocket 8s, which I know is hilarious. A lot of people would probably laugh at me for that. Personally, I don't super care. I combine, you know, my monitors with headphones a lot, and I'm moving around so much. I'm not in a controlled space right now. Somebody at one point put some foam on the walls in here that's not even, you know, it's not great stuff. I've got a door back here that, you know, it opens up right onto the highway. So this is not a really nice studio that I'm in as my office. And truthfully, this isn't where I mix most of the time. Like if people are sending me mixes they want done, like I'm doing that at my house on my couch. So having something that can recreate as well as these is absolutely critical for me. Super stoked I got them. I'm curious now about the difference between these and the A18s. I would never get the A18s, not for a long time. But it does make me wonder. And more than anything, I'm curious about the difference between the quality of these versus something like the A2s, the A2E, because those are at a really attainable price point for a lot of musicians, I would say. Really kind of at that price point where, you know, you're a serious amateur musician. I would say that those are probably what I would recommend. And it does make me wonder if they are, you know, quality wise, I really think that those would probably be amazing headphones. And I'm curious what they sound like now, because man, I think there's a lot of people that would be pretty blown away by what 64 is doing with these headphones. That's all I have to say, guys. If you stuck around this long, thank you. I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this sort of content. I know I make a ton of different weird stuff, but again, this whole channel is just chronicling my life in audio, which is, again, all over the place. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.